Greetings again, Light Tribe. Janine Palmer here. To talk about when people seem to attack things or they seem to battle themselves through others. So sometimes if someone is directing negative energy towards something or someone, or it appears like they're just constantly finding something to pick apart, nitpick, attack, find fault with. Oftentimes that's done to make them feel superior, to make themselves feel superior. And if you've done any studying on the ego, like with Eckhart Tolle through The Power of Now or New Earth, and you learn more about ego and the pain body and things like this, it's that he talks about the little me, that the ego likes to strengthen the sense of self. It likes to be offended. It likes to be right, point out that it's right, or to find fault with others or other things, to point out that fault, and to pick it apart. So when someone is projecting negative energy towards something or someone, like if you notice a pattern with someone where they're constantly finding fault, like with someone's belief system, their ideologies, their political standpoint, their choices in life, in relationships, in coping mechanisms. I mean, people go through some very difficult and challenging things, and we all deal with it differently. We all process it differently. Some people maybe don't process or deal. They bury it, stuff it, the things come back up. There's patterns, habits. People get hooked on substances to try to numb, or bury, or whatever. Okay, so maybe we've been in their shoes, maybe we haven't, but in either case, we can't really judge. Even if we've experienced it, or if we haven't, we can't criticize it and be right. So sometimes people will battle themselves through others. So they're fighting things. They're taking exception. They're finding fault. They're attacking. They're judging. Okay? And oftentimes it's their issues, and they're battling some part of themselves, but they're doing it through other things and other people. So to have that awareness, it's an observation and a perspective. That's all this is. And so if you have that awareness, this might be something you can talk with someone about. Sometimes you can't talk about stuff like this with people because they're just not open. They're closed off. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to go there. They shut you out. They got the walls, they're reactionary, whatever. But sometimes we can find a tactful way to bring it up, because some people aren't even aware of these behavioral patterns, okay, that are going on. They're not aware of it. So sometimes you can bring an awareness to it without being offensive or seeming like you're putting someone down. Or if you're aware of it and maybe you can't fix it, or you just don't want to go there, you don't want to create the conflict, you have to distance yourself. You have to learn to detach and disengage and step away from that. Anything that's lower vibrational, that's bad for you or your energy, that's damaging to you, that brings you down. There's so many ways that people harm us, and maybe they don't mean to, but that just wears on the emotions and the nerves and just so many things that you have to step away from it for your own well-being. You have to give yourself permission to say, I'm not going to engage in that. Even if you're the sounding board, even if someone isn't getting through their issues, right? And if that stuff that's too negative is too hard for someone else. Like I've been through some very challenging times to where I would talk to a friend and probably didn't realize at the time that that was too much for that friend to handle or deal with. But I had to handle it and deal with it. And sometimes we think we have a friend that's always been our friend for years that we can count on, but sometimes you can't. Things change and they can't take that anymore, so you can't count on them. And maybe they're not even going to be your friend anymore. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the learning. And that's part of learning to be in acceptance and let go and all that other stuff. But all I'm saying is when people are battling themselves through others and or you can decide that you aren't going to tolerate it, engage in it, let yourself be drawn into it. Sometimes we can be present for someone and talk without having to give away a bunch of power energy. There is the time that it takes to discuss, but if we have ideas or ideologies of what we think someone should do and they're not doing it, and then we're going to get mad at them, then I guess we shouldn't be in that situation, because judgment doesn't serve anyone. So this is just about being aware of sometimes people battle themselves through others. And oftentimes it's their old pain and wounds that are coming out. And maybe they don't even know that's what it is. They don't know why they feel so bitter and resentful and nitpicky. They don't know why they're doing that. But it's unhealed things, okay? And we don't heal ourselves by harming other people, okay? That's so important to be very aware of, is we don't heal ourselves by breaking other people's hearts or harming anyone else.